Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalatu wassalamu alayka ya Khatmun Nabiyyin. Ladies and gentlemen, today we got this special discussion about the COVID and the situation in different hotels. People came back from Pakistan and what was their experiences. We'll talk about that. Luckily, we got two people, uh, brother Faz Ali and Maria Ali. Maria is brother's Faz's daughter, so we'll ask her question about her experience in Lahore with COVID and quarantine in one of the hotel near Heathrow. Maria, we welcome you in our program,
Thank you,
and
Uncle.
we got our senior journalist from London, Shiraz Khan. Uh, he don't need any introduction in media. So शिराज साहब आपको भी वेलकम करते हैं और मरिया आपको भी वेलकम करते
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
हैं straight away we coming to my first question. Maria, you were in Pakistan and you seen all these COVID situation. So how you explain people of Lahore were reacting to the COVID?
So when we first got to the airport, the process was really disorganized, and we got told that we needed to have a COVID test there and then, which we wasn't aware of. And obviously, we took two COVID tests from here. We had PCR tests done. So as soon as we got to Lahore and we landed, we needed to have another COVID test done straight away as soon as we landed. So there was queues and queues and queues, and obviously we were frustrated because we'd already done two COVID tests when we'd come from London. So they'd asked us to stand in a line, and they just did our nose swab. So they didn't take our throat; they just did the nose swab, and that's how they did our test. They took a form that they asked us to fill in. And they asked us to fill that out, and they did our COVID test. And they said, if anything comes back, we'll be in contact with you. When we got to the Lahore airport, there was no kind of social distancing. There was no wearing masks. So, it seemed like it was done very quickly, and it seemed like the COVID tests weren't done very seriously. They were just doing it up the nose, and that's it. There was no kind of process or anything from when we come from Lahore. There was no gloves. There was no masks. So it wasn't taken very seriously in Lahore airport.
Okay, and what about the shopping centers in Pakistan? What you were like under any threat from other people that they're not using mask or anything? What was your opinion about those?
Yeah, I went to one of, a couple of main of the shopping centers, and they were very, very busy. I don't think they were managed by people, but we weren't allowed into the shopping centers without masks. And some of the shopping centers, for example, I went to Lahore in Packages Mall. They asked us to do our temperature checks, but they didn't police. If you wore it inside or not, they weren't strict on that. So you could have taken your masks off when you're in the shopping centers, but you had to wear them when you were entering. So it wasn't that strict.
And like here, every society, people are making fun of this COVID. That is nothing. It's just government. Is his fault and his fault, and it's just making money. What you think? What was the people opinion in Lahore?
Yeah, they were very strongly against Imran Khan. They said, "Oh, it's money making. It's a government scheme. There's no COVID here." There was weddings happening. I mean, there was a wedding that we got invited to, but we didn't go. It was about 800 people there. 800 people at a wedding. We'd made sure we didn't go because obviously COVID was still very, very, very kind of high cases in Lahore then, so we didn't go. But people weren't taking it seriously. There was no social distances, no people not wearing masks on the road. People weren't taking it. It was like a joke there.
Okay, Miss Ali, I'm going to our friend Shiraz Khan. जी शिराज साहब, आप क्या समझते हैं कि आपने कोविड के दौरान आप भी पाकिस्तान गए, आपका वहाँ पे क्या एक्सपीरियंस था?
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। जैसा कि मारिया ने आपको बताया, शी इज क्वाइट राइट by saying this that there is no such serious testing in Pakistan, and I acknowledge that. And also, she also pointed out there is no social distancing in Pakistan either. So when I was in Pakistan, I had experience in February and March, the same sort similar situation, but that's pretty that people are not taking corona in Pakistan very seriously. Government put people on a what you call a lockdown. They restrict people's movement, but in fact, the people are celebrating their weddings, parties, and they are still going to each other's houses. And as we speak, the virus is still spreading. But because it's not serious testing, so we don't know how many people are suffering and what is the infection rates are in Pakistan. So maybe it might be many more hundreds of thousands of people are still carrying the virus, but they are not going to hospital or they're not going to be have the test done, or there is no capacity, or we haven't got that sort of testing standard and so on. So this is very that's the general public behavior as we break the law in Pakistan, as we stop here on the red lights when we are here to just wait for to open the to get the lights green. But when you go Pakistan, we don't, because everybody is abusing the law. So this is the same thing happening over there, and I'm so concerned that because of the testing and because of not wearing the mask, and we people are bringing back the virus from Pakistan to England and from England to Pakistan as well, because we don't know how many people are carrying the virus. But one more thing I want to tell you, a couple of breaking news. One is that, as you're aware, that Manchester airport is closed today because too much infections, too many patients came from India. That's why the Manchester airport is not operating at the moment. It's been closed down. Second thing, that Pakistan has banned few flights coming from Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, that as there are many cases and many the passengers being coming from United Arab Emirates, the Gulf states, to Pakistan, they were tested positive. So they also banned the flights coming from the United Arab Emirates. When you ask to us to come, when we come here from Pakistan, and we have to pay 1,750 pound for 10-day shielding. I'm so annoyed because first person has to pay 1,750. If his wife is with him, then he has to pay 650 pound, and then each child pays 225 or 250 pound. I'm not quite sure, but the standard of living, or the hotels standard is not at that great, and also the food facilities and all that, they are not really, they're very annoyed and cross that they pay so much money. But also I'll tell you one thing, the testing system here in hospital, they make a lot of fuss about it and they do proper tests and so on. But here is also people are abusing, because more and more people are in this business getting involved and they're just making money. Sometimes I have doubts about the testing system, and the results which we are getting here in the UK is not as good as we can expect up to that standard as well. So I hope I answered the question.
Uh, Mr. Khan, what do you think? Because in Pakistan, people are blaming uh, British people, British Pakistanis, that the third time when COVID was spreading in Pakistan, it was because of British Pakistanis. They went there in bulks and they spread this virus. What do you think of? What do you say about that?
It might well be true, you can't say really how many people were getting the test, but it's not our fault, because we were asked to provide the COVID test from the UK when you take the flight, and when you go there, then they have they have make us to wait at the airport for many hours to get tested, and we queue up over there, and we never get. I never get a result. I was there 1.5 hours queuing up, but as Maria Ali has mentioned earlier on that she has a doubt that this was a COVID test. It was just a joke. And when I asked him, so he smiled, the guy who was taking the test, that you know that we can't do that much, but we will tell you the results. So I gave the mobile number, but the result never came, and I was not told was it negative or positive. So we can only pray and I hope that we will not have many people's affected in Pakistan by the grace of Allah. And in fact, if you ask me, in Pakistan, we never had a intensity of the virus of corona that bad as we had in UK, China, or other part of the world. I don't know. It's a very good thing that Allah Almighty help us to remain safe of a nation. But when it comes to the treatment or social distancing or taking care about each other, that's not the case. I'm sure that the people are not taking serious in Pakistan this virus. So we can only hope and pray that it's going to be safe. But one more thing which I want to share on in your program, that there is more likely to be have here more further lockdowns or tier systems in UK because Indian variant is spreading here in the UK. So let's hope, finger crossed, today is everything open, back to normals, and we were looking forward to enjoy our life and back to have some sort of normality in life. But in fact, that's not the case because as Indian virus is spreading variant here in the UK, and also there is the controversy that Boris Johnson knew about this, but still he let the 20,000 people to come back from India to England. So there is some sort of controversy.
Maria, I'm coming to you now. Can you share your experience staying in hotel
Can
from
I, can
airport?
I, Jimmy, sir, can I, sorry, I interrupt. I am traveling and I have some guests with me, and that's all the time I have for your program. But I hope it will go well, and I wish you good luck. And it was pleasure to taking part in your program. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Shiraz Khan.
Thank
Inshallah,
you.
we'll see you soon.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Hafiz.
Yes, Maria. Can you start from the beginning when you came from Lahore to the Heathrow Airport? I want to know that story because I heard so many stories like how they treat you at airport and from there onwards to hotel. First, you tell us what happened and what was the story on the airport when you came out of plane and at Heathrow Airport.
Of course. So as soon as we landed in London Heathrow at 6:45. And as soon as we got off the plane, we were escorted to customs, and border control, and that's where they asked us to show our information, show where we're staying, our booking confirmations, our COVID tests, what was the reason why we went to Pakistan. So they were asking us that at border control. Then as soon as we'd crossed border control, there was somebody waiting there for us who took mine and my mum's passports off us, and they escorted us down to the luggage. So we had to go with somebody, our passports being taken off us like we were criminals, and we also had a separate pathway to go. From other people that were on in the airport, and they then escorted us and they made us take our luggage. So once we then took our luggage, we then had to wait for coaches to take us to the hotel. So bearing in mind, we landed at 6:40 and we were done in customs. I would say we passed customs at about 7:30. We had to wait over 4.5 hours for our coach. So these are the coaches that pick you up from the airport and take you to our hotel. So we were waiting around for over kind of 4.5 hours for the coach. We were waiting there. Me and my mum were getting restless. Obviously, we've just come off a flight as well. And again, they still taken our passports off us, and there was tight security watching us so that we couldn't leave the airport. And then once our coach came, 4.5 hours later, 5 hours later, we then got dropped off to our hotel. So we stayed in Radisson Red Hotel, which is just near the airport. And the experience from there was downhill. It was terrible. The room was really small. Obviously, we had luggage from Pakistan, so the room was very tiny. It was your standard room, so it was a double bed. The room was clean, but obviously it was in the afternoon. There was just very basic facilities there. A lot of the things we kind of had to ask for. For example, the room was so cold when we got there. The heating system didn't work, so we had to ask for fan heaters. There was no water there. They said we couldn't drink the bathroom water, so we then had to ask for some water bottles. The experience was really bad. I mean, you never got reception. Reception never answered their calls. They'd cut their phones off. We couldn't even get out of our room because we had security waiting there for us. So anytime we wanted something, we had to ask security, and security said, look, it's only our job here to stand here and make sure you don't go out your room. So it was really difficult for us to even get help from reception because they'd never answered their phones. So it was a really bad reception. So we got there about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and obviously it was lunchtime, so we needed something to eat. We didn't get our lunch till about 4 o'clock that day, after continuously calling. And when we did, the food was hard. The bread that they gave us was moldy. The bread was stale, and the food was so cold, like you couldn't even eat it. We were so disappointed. Obviously, we were angry because me and my mum had paid over £2,000 to stay in this room, and we can't even get the basic facilities.
Okay, Maria, can you tell us about the food they were providing you? What type of hotel was it? Is it 2 star, 3 star?
Radisson Red's actually, I think it's a 3.5, 4-star hotel. So it was one of the best compared to what my dad stayed in. So my dad stayed in Holiday Inn, and I stayed in Radisson Red. But I think personally, I don't think the food's provided by the hotel. It's actually provided by the government. The food itself came in, small portions. It was cold. 9 times out of 10, there was 2 days gone that we didn't even have our food. They just forgot to deliver it to us. And reception were never answering their calls, so we had to keep pestering the security guys to, can you get can you get the reception team to come bring us up some food, because they'd always forget. So we hardly had dinner for two days straight.
Okay, and what was the possibility providing you halal food if it's Muslims there? So there was any halal food available?
Yeah, they had options there where they gave us halal food. They gave us a menu which they asked us to fill out every day. So they'd give you options there, halal menu, vegetarian options. So there was options there. You just have to double check it, because once they'd accidentally given you the wrong food, and they accidentally given us pork. And obviously we were really angry. It was not good at all because they'd given us the wrong food. So again, you just have to be careful. But there is halal options there. But even if the option, when they give halal option, it's either 4 or 5 bits of chips and 4 nuggets. That's all it would be.
Okay, so it was like 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner available?
Yes. So for breakfast, they'd either give you some beans and a boiled egg and some toast. They'll also give you teas and coffees as well. And then for lunch, they would give you, let's say it would be like a sandwich. It could be like a cheese sandwich or an egg sandwich. And then for dinner, it could be anything from chicken nuggets, or it could be chips, or it could be butter chicken curry. But again, the portions were really small. It wouldn't be good enough for a balanced diet.
Okay, Maria, and can you explain your room where you stayed and how many people they allowed in single room? Is the whole family was staying in one room?
Because there was only me and my mum, they'd only given us one room. So the facilities itself was, obviously we weren't allowed to get out of our room. We were only allowed to go out of our room 2 times a day for 20 minutes. And obviously our room for 10 days wasn't cleaned, so we had to ask for cleaning products. They would leave us bed sheets outside, bin bags outside our door, because they'd expect us to change our own bed covers, and they'd give us towels as well. So everything we'd have to do ourselves. But 9 times out of 10 they would forget to do it because the staff, they were just so busy. I think they had so many people in the hotel, they were so busy they would forget to do the basic things. They were forgetting to give us bottled water, they were forgetting to give us bed sheets and towels. We had to kind of chase it up.
And did they explain to you that 1750 pound you paid, and what things were including, and you got all those things on the menu?
No, I never got dinner for 2 days straight. They hardly gave us any bottled water. I used to have to get my outside family to come bring us food. We had to get them to get us to bring bottled water. They didn't provide us anything. For £1,750, we got the bare minimum. We literally just got the room. The service, there was no service. We had basic food. We just had a bed. That's literally it. The food was not good enough. The food was unedible. Sometimes it was moldy. The bread could be moldy. The milk can sometimes be off. So for 1,750, we literally didn't get anything. We just got the bed. It was just basic, the bed and a
O-
bathroom.
Okay, Maria. So did you complain to the hotel management?
Of course, yeah. I'm still in a complaint with them, actually. We complained to hotel management. We complained to the CTM. So CTM is where we actually booked the hotel. So we've still got an ongoing complaint with them. They just saying, "Oh, we'll look into it. We'll look into it." And obviously, after I complained and complained, my 10 days was over. So there wasn't really much they could do. But we've still got an ongoing complaint going because we weren't really happy about how we were treated. We were literally treated like prisoners. We had security guards waiting outside. We couldn't even open the door without somebody asking where we're going. The treatment was really bad.
Okay, Maria, for other people's information,
Yeah.
people still coming and they have to stay in a hotel. Can you tell us, for that 20-minute walk, you were allowed to go in outside hotel, or in their garden, or where that exercise was?
So you were allowed to go out twice a day for 20 minutes, and you were allowed to use the hotel car park. So you're only allowed to go out with a little bit of the backside of the hotel. There'd be a little part there which you can walk there for 20 minutes. So, and obviously it was such a small area and there was quite a lot of people there. So I didn't really feel comfortable going because obviously it was a quarantine hotel, so it might not have been safe. So, there was a lot of people, there were a lot of families with kids, a lot of elderly people. So it was a very small area that we could walk around.
Okay, Maria, last question to you. What you suggest other people coming from Pakistan to here in quarantine, you will suggest them that stay there until the quarantine finish. Maybe they can't do anything if his security system is here. So
Yeah.
what you going to tell those people who are still coming from Pakistan?
I mean, yeah, I mean, ideally it would be best for them to stay in Pakistan, but from what the restrictions are like here, I don't think that the Pakistan's going to be off the red list anytime soon. Obviously, I had to come back because of my job, but it is ideally that it would be best for you to stay in Pakistan, but obviously it's not feasible for everyone. Because of the circumstances, you're going to have to stay. There's no other choice but for you to stay in a hotel. My advice would be, um make sure you're on with the reception, make sure that you can keep on complaining if you're not happy with something. I know my dad stayed in Holiday Inn, and he hardly ever used to get food. The food used to be cold. He never used to complain, he never used to say anything. He just used to not say anything and eat it, or he'd throw it away. But my main thing would be make sure that you keep on top of complaining, keep on calling reception if something's not right, keep on chasing up your food. If you're not getting any of your foods, making sure you chase it up. I mean, as I said, ideally it would be best to stay in Pakistan, because I wouldn't recommend how we got treated and how much you have to pay. It's too expensive for the experience. But as I said, is something that everyone has to do, and I don't think Pakistan's going to be off the red list anytime soon. So it's something that we will have to do, unfortunately.
Maria, thank you very much to have you in our program today. Our listeners, they ask few questions. Hopefully in next program we'll discuss more detail with you. Okay, thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we talking with Faz Ali from Watford. He had same experience. He stayed in different hotels in near Heathrow Airport. So we'll speak with Faz and we'll ask him question. Assalamu alaikum, Faz.
जी वालेकुम सलाम, कैसे हैं आप? ठीक ठाक हैं?
जी अल्लाह का शुक्र है, ठीक ठाक। बहुत शुक्रिया आपका कि आप हमारे प्रोग्राम में शामिल हुए, क्योंकि ये सिलसिला ऐसा था कि लोगों के मसाइल, रेडियो पे भी काफी प्रोग्राम ऐसे हुए जिनमें लोग कंप्लेन कर रहे थे, आपका भी एक्सपीरियंस था, और फिर उसके बाद ये इस जो एक्सपीरियंस हुआ, तो आपसे बात करते हैं कि आप जब एयरपोर्ट पे आए पाकिस्तान से, तो आपको वहां पे क्या तजर्बा हुआ?
जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन। जब हम जहाज से उतरे, उसके बाद हमने जब बॉर्डर अपने सारे पासपोर्ट और बॉर्डर एजेंसी के साथ हमने अपना पासपोर्ट क्लियर किया, तो जब हम नीचे उतरे तो वही एक्सपीरियंस हुआ कि उन्होंने हमारा पासपोर्ट ले लिया। उसके बाद एक बंदा आपको गार्डिंग कर रहा था कि आपने सिर्फ उसके साथ ही रहना है। हर पैसेंजर के साथ उन्होंने एक सिक्योरिटी गार्ड लगाया हुआ था, तो वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड आपको सामान भी लेके दे रहा था और वही सिक्योरिटी गार्ड आपके साथ था। उसने जब आपका सामान कलेक्ट किया, उसके बाद वो आपको एक अलहदा टनल के ज़रिए एक साइड पे ले गए, क्योंकि दूसरे पैसेंजर जो है वो आपके साथ मिक्स नहीं हो रहे थे। तो उसके बाद जब हमने अपना सामान कलेक्ट किया, तो फिर इन्होंने हमारी ऑल द डिटेल ली कि कहाँ, और इन्होंने हमारी रसीदें चेक की कि कितने कहाँ पैसे जमा करवाए और कौन से होटल में आपने बुकिंग करवाई है। उसके बाद इन्होंने सबको एक जगह पे बिठा दिया और हम उसके बाद हम कोच का इंतज़ार करने लगे। जब कोच का इंतज़ार ख़त्म हुआ, तो ये मेरा 2 घंटे बाद उन्होंने कहा कि आपकी कोचेज़ आ गई हैं, अब आप जो है ना एयरपोर्ट से बाहर आ सकते हैं। फिर हम जाके कोच में बैठ गए। जब कोच में बैठे हैं तो वो वहाँ पे भी लंबा इंतज़ार, क्योंकि वो सब जो कोचें थी, वो जितना तक अंदर जितने पैसेंजर थे अपना सामान कलेक्ट करके आ नहीं जाती, वो एयरपोर्ट नहीं छोड़ सकते थे। तो आगे हम 8 घंटे पाकिस्तान से फ़्लाइट लेके आए हुए थे, तो आगे ये 2 या 3 घंटे का आपको एक्स्ट्रा इंतज़ार करना पड़ता है कि कब ये कोच लेके आपको होटल पे जाएगी। तो जब सारी पैसेंजर आए और उनका सामान भी कोचेज़ में रख दिया गया, तो फिर ये उनको उसको हमें लेके वो एक कोच जो है ना डिफरेंट डिफरेंट होटल में जा रही थी। कभी ये रेडिसन में स्टॉप होते थे, वहाँ पे इन्होंने सवारियाँ उतारी, फिर उसके बाद हॉलिडे इन पे आ गए। तो उसके बाद उन्होंने तीसरे होटल में भी जाना था, मैं हॉलिडे इन में ठहरा हुआ था। वहाँ जब गया तो इन्होंने वहाँ पे जाके इन्होंने हमारा सामान जो है ना सिक्योरिटी गार्ड ने हमारा हमसे लिया, और उसके बाद इन्होंने जब हमें कमरा दिया, तो उसके बाद 3.5-4 घंटे का ये प्रोसीजर था कि आप अपने होटल के रूम में आप पहुँचे हैं। तो जब होटल के रूम में गए हैं, तो वो एक बेसिक किस्म का कमरा था, जो सिंगल आदमी के लिए उन्होंने सिंगल बेड लगाए हुए थे। तो उसके बाद जब हम बैठे, तो फिर इन्होंने इसको हमने फ़ोन किया कि भई अब रोज़ा नहीं है हमारा अभी, तो आप, क्योंकि हम फ़्लाइट से आए हैं, तो अभी एयरपोर्ट से भी 4 घंटे 5 घंटे हो गए हमें आए हुए, हमने कुछ नहीं खाया, हमें कुछ प्रोवाइड करें। तो उसके कहने के बाद इन्होंने अपना वो चाय और बिस्किट का हमें भेजा और साथ एक एग सैंडविच दिया। तो उसके बाद फिर हमने जो ना होटल में सेटल डाउन हो गए। तो पहला दिन का जो एक्सपीरियंस था तो वो तो यही था ना कि बिल्कुल लंबा सफ़र करके आए हुए थे, आगे से ये 4 घंटे। तो इसलिए ये बड़ा मुश्किल दिन गुजर रहा था, लग रहा था। तो फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता अगले दिन जब पता चला कि अब हमने इधर ही रहना है अगले 11 दिन तक, तो मैंने उनको फ़ोन किया कि मैं बाहर जाना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि मैं फ्रेश एयर लेना चाहता हूँ। तो कहते हैं नहीं, पहले ये जो 3 दिन है, जब तक आपका पहला यहाँ पे कोविड टेस्ट नहीं हो जाता, आप यहाँ से अपने कमरे से बाहर नहीं जा सकते। हाँ, अगर आपका कोविड टेस्ट जो 2 दिन बाद होना है वो क्लियर आएगा, तो उसके बाद आप वो के लिए या फ्रेश एयर के लिए जा सकते हैं।
तो जो लोग स्मोकर हैं उनके लिए क्या हाल?
तो जी वो जो स्मोकर हैं उनका तो बहुत जो है ना उनके साथ उनके बहुत इख्तलाफात मैंने लोगों को रिसेप्शन के साथ झगड़ते देखा है, क्योंकि मेरी खिड़की जो थी ना उस तरफ ही थी जहाँ पे स्मोकिंग के लिए पीपल जाते थे। तो जो हमारे साथ लोग आए हुए थे तो जो स्मोकिंग करना चाहते थे उनको 2 दिन तो बिल्कुल बाहर जाने की इजाजत नहीं थी।
अच्छा,
तो
तो ये जब आप ने होटल बुक किया था तो
जी
क्या
जी,
आपको चॉइस दी गई थी कि आप कौन सा होटल बुक कर सकते हैं?
नहीं सर, ये चॉइस आप नहीं, आपको नहीं ये देते। ये आप उनकी मर्जी होती है कि किस जगह को वो आपको ठहराना चाहते हैं और किस जगह पे आपके ठहरने की कैपेसिटी है।
अच्छा फैज साहब, आप ये बताएं कि उस वहां पे कोई ऐसा सिलसिला था जब आपका पहला टेस्ट 3 दिन के बाद नेगेटिव आ गया,
जी
तो
जी
कोई ऐसा सिलसिला था कि आपको घर का खाना, जो अगर आप घर के करीब हैं तो आपको घर से खाना आ सके?
जी, बिल्कुल। आप अपना फ़ोन पे भी ऑर्डर करके खाना रिसेप्शन पे मंगवा सकते हैं। अगर आपने कहीं बाहर से फूड में और डिलीवरी करवानी है, करवा सकते हैं। और अगर आपका घर करीब है, तो आप घर से भी वो जो है ना अपना फूड और खाना रात को मंगवा सकते हैं।
अच्छा, ये सहूलत थी।
जी हाँ।
तो और बाकी जिस तरह अभी मरिया से भी बात हुई थी कि पोर्शन बहुत थोड़े थे, कि रमजान का टाइम था और सहरी और अफ्तारी में आप क्या समझते हैं कि जो खाना दिया जाता रहा है
हुँ।
उससे एक आदमी आसानी से रोजा रख सकता था?
नहीं, ये कोई उनकी वो यही कह रहे थे कि हमारी ज़िम्मेदारी है कि जो, क्योंकि ये हकीकत में एक्चुअली होटल का फूड नहीं था। ये फूड एक्चुअली बेसिकली एक जिसको कहते हैं ना गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से पैकेज दिया गया था कि आपने पैसेंजर्स को ये चीज़ें देनी है। क्योंकि वो ऐसे था कि जब वो डिनर लगता था ना, तो मैं अपनी खिड़की से खड़े होके देख सकता था कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं। अगर उन्होंने सुबह आपको ब्रेकफास्ट देना है ना, तो पूरी रात को वो टेबल के ऊपर जो उन्होंने स्टैंडर्ड चीज़ें ना, हर प्लेट में वो स्टैंडर्ड चीज़ें रखनी थी। उसमें एक बनाना रख दिया, या एक एप्पल रख दिया। उसके बाद वो जो छोटे शाशे होते हैं और उसके शुगर के, उसके बाद मिल्क छोटा रख दिया। ये एक स्टैंडर्ड उन्होंने एक पैकेज बनाया हुआ था, और ये ही पैकेज उन्होंने आपको देना था, चाहे आप उसके साथ सहरी करें, चाहे उसके साथ रोज़ा रखें या ना रखें, ये आपकी मर्जी है। लेकिन उन्होंने आपको डिफरेंट फूड बिल्कुल नहीं देना था और ना ही अलाउड था, क्योंकि ये एक स्टैंडर्ड गवर्नमेंट का उन्होंने पैकेज था, और इस पैकेज के मुताबिक ही उन्होंने आपको फूड प्रोवाइड करना था।
अच्छा, तो आप जब होटल में आ गए तो क्या आपको वो सिक्योर कोचिज में लेके आए या आपको इजाजत थी कि आप अपनी ट्रांसपोर्ट में एयरपोर्ट से होटल जाएं?
नहीं नहीं, बिल्कुल ये आपको इजाज़त नहीं थी कि आप अपनी ट्रांसपोर्ट यूज़ कर सकें, क्योंकि सिक्योरिटी इज़ विद यू ऑल द वे। सिक्योरिटी आपके साथ थी, वो आपके पीछे पीछे थी। और वो आपको कोच में बिठा के एस्कॉर्ट करके लेके जाते हैं। वो ये नहीं कहते कि आप खुद ही होटल पे चले जाएं, नहीं। उन्होंने रखा हुआ है जाने के लिए, उनकी कोचेज यूज होंगी, उनकी होंगी, और आपको वो सुपरवाइज करके लेके जाएंगे। आप अकेले नहीं जा सकते।
अच्छा, और फिर आपने वहां पे जो दिन गुजारे, तो होटल मैनेजमेंट जो थी उसका बिहेवियर आप क्या समझते हैं कि लोगों के साथ कैसा था?
जमील भाई, वो उसमें ये है कि आप क्वारंटीन में थे, कोई बंदा आपको मिल नहीं सकता आकर, ठीक है। बाई फेस आप किसी को नहीं मिल सकते, ना क्लीनर को मिल सकते हैं, ना होटल मैनेजमेंट को मिल सकते हैं। एक दफा जब आप अपने कमरे में चले गए हैं ना, उसके बाद सिर्फ और सिर्फ आप राब्ता कर सकते हैं टेलीफोन के ऊपर, ठीक है। यहाँ जो सिक्योरिटी, हर कमरे के बाहर उन्होंने 3 कमरों के ऊपर एक सिक्योरिटी गार्ड रखा हुआ है। आप उसको उसके साथ जब वो करने जाना है, वही आपको लेके जाएगा, वही आपको लेके ऊपर वापस आएगा। होटल मैनेजमेंट का वो है, उनका फोन जो है ना कंटिन्यूसली फोन उनका बिजी है। कोई भी बंदा आपको रिटर्न कॉल नहीं करता, कोई आप मैसेज नहीं वहां छोड़ सकते रिसेप्शन पे। वो सिर्फ ये है कि जब आप अपने सिक्योरिटी गार्ड को कहें कि वो नीचे जाए, ये मेरा रूम नंबर है, यहाँ पे प्लीज मुझे कांटेक्ट करें, मुझे इन इन चीजों की जरूरत है, ठीक है। उसमें कोई मैनेजमेंट इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, कोई बंदा इन्वॉल्व नहीं है। ज्यादा कोरस्पॉन्डिंग जो है आपकी सिक्योरिटी गार्ड के थ्रू हो रही थी।
अच्छा, तो अभी आप क्या समझते हैं कि इससे बेहतर था कि आप वही पैसे पाकिस्तान में स्पेंड कर लेते और ज्यादा दिन उधर रह सकते थे?
ये बड़ी आपका अच्छा सवाल है, लेकिन ये डिपेंड करता है आपके सर्कमस्टांसिस के ऊपर, ठीक है। अगर देखें ना, अगर आपके पास वहाँ रह सकते हैं, गर्मी बर्दाश्त कर सकते हैं, ज़रूर बिस्मिल्लाह करके रहें। लेकिन डिपेंड करता है ना कि कोई बंदा उसकी, अगर कोई बीमार है या उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम है, कोई सेहत के इशू है, अगर उसकी दवाई ख़त्म हो गई है या उसको मेडिसिन चाहिए, तो उसने आना ही आना है, ठीक है। क्योंकि आप उसको यहाँ से मेडिसिन भी वहाँ, यहाँ से वहाँ नहीं भेज सकते, वो भी अपना जो है ना कस्टम्स की वजह से। तो इसलिए ये मैं किसी को ये नहीं कह सकता कि आप पाकिस्तान में रहें। हाँ, पाकिस्तान में बैठे रहें, बहुत अच्छी बात है, क्योंकि आप अपने घरों में बैठे हुए हैं। लेकिन ये ऑलवेज डिपेंड ऑन योर सर्कमस्टांसेस, कि किसी ने जॉब के लिए आना है तो उसको होटल में ठहरना ही पड़ेगा। और हाँ, अगर कोई बीमार है या उसे कोई मेडिकल फैसिलिटी की ज़रूरत है जो वहाँ पे नहीं उसको मिल रही, इस उसने भी यहाँ आना है, तो उसको इसके लिए तो आना ही पड़ेगा। तो इसलिए मैं इसको ये है कि इसका सवाल जवाब यही है कि हर बंदे के सर्कमस्टांसिस के ऊपर है कि वो आके ये होटल वाली तकलीफ बर्दाश्त करना चाहता है कि नहीं चाहता।
अच्छा, आपका एक्सपीरियंस बैड हुआ, आपको कोई ऐसे लोग भी उसी ग्रुप में मिले जो उस जो 10 दिन का स्टे था होटल में उससे खुश हो?
उसमें ये था कि बाज बंदे ऐसे थे जिनको मैं थोड़ा अपने एज ग्रुप से बड़ा समझता हूँ, जिसमें यानी कि ओवर 60 के पीपल थे। वो पूरे 10 दिन, क्योंकि हमारे जब हम कोच से उतरे हैं, मेरे साथ कोई 18 बंदे जो है ना हॉलीडे इन में ठहरे थे। तो वो जो ओवर 60 ग्रुप था ना, वो बंदे तो बिल्कुल जो है ना नीचे ही नहीं आए। वो 10 दिन अपने कमरे से बाहर ही नहीं निकले। एक तो कोविड की वजह से, और ऊपर से वो सिर्फ यही घबराते थे ना कि हम कोई कैच ना कर लें, कोई उनको कोई ऐसा बंदा ना मिल जाए जिससे वो कोविड की जो वो वहाँ पाकिस्तान से आए, यहाँ पे आके वो प्रॉब्लम कैच ना कर ले, ठीक है। और हाँ, अगर किसी का वहाँ पे लोगों का जिसका पॉजिटिव भी हुआ है ना, वो तो अगले 14 दिन के लिए उसको 28 दिन रहना पड़ेगा। तो इसलिए ये है कि वो जो बड़े एज के ग्रुप थे ना, हम लोग थे ना, उन्होंने उनको तो मैंने बाहर निकलते ही नहीं देखा। हाँ, जब मैंने होटल 11वें दिन छोड़ा है, तो फिर मैंने उनको पूछा है कि मैंने तो आपको देखा ही नहीं नीचे। तो वो यही कह रहे थे कि हम लोग इसलिए अंदर थे, हम अंदर इसलिए हैप्पी थे, हम सिर्फ बच रहे थे कि हमें कहीं से ये जो ना ये कोविड ना हो जाए, इसकी वजह से वो अंदर रहने में हैप्पी थे।
जी फैज भाई, बहुत शुक्रिया आपका।
जी वेलकम।
हमारे नाजरीन के लिए ये बहुत अच्छी इंफॉर्मेशन थी। मारिया ने भी इंफॉर्मेशन दी, शिराज खान साहब ने भी अपने ख्यालात का इजहार किया, आपसे भी हमें मालूमात मिली। इंशाल्लाह ये जो आइंदा लोग आ रहे हैं उनके लिए ये हेल्प होगी।
जी
बहुत
जी।
शुक्रिया आपका। आप कोई मैसेज देना चाहेंगे जो लोग आ रहे हैं उनके लिए?
बस मेरा तो यही मैसेज है, अगर देखें, क्योंकि ये जो पाकिस्तान रेड जोन में गया है, तो मेरा ख्याल है ये सितंबर तक तो रहेगा। तो अगर आप यहाँ आके, बहुत ज़रूरी है आपके लिए आना, और इस तो फिर आप आ जाएं, नहीं तो कोशिश करें कि फिर जो है ना स्टे करें, क्योंकि जो बड़ी फैमिलियाँ गई हुई हैं उनके लिए तो मैं समझता हूँ ये बहुत एक्सपेंसिव प्रोसेस है।
जी नाजरीन, आपने हमारे जो लोग क्वारंटीन में रहे, मरिया थी, फैज भाई थे और शिराज खान, आपने इनके ख्यालात सुने। हालात ऐसे ही लगते हैं कि ये मुसीबत, एक कोविड मुसीबत और एक उससे ऊपर क्वारंटीन वाला जो होटल का प्रोसेस है वो बड़ी मुसीबत। तो अब इसी दुआ के साथ प्रोग्राम खत्म करते हैं कि होपफुली ये कोविड से जल्द हमारी जान छूटे और उसके बाद लोग अपने घरों में नॉर्मल तरीके से आए। जी नाजरीन, जमील मिनास को लंदन स्टूडियो से इजाजत दीजिए। इंशाल्लाह फिर किसी प्रोग्राम के साथ हाजिर होंगे। अल्लाह हाफिज।